Yeah, HGTV has been really good at telling us that you can rehab an entire house for $40,000 and nobody ever goes over budget or anything like that, right?
That's right.
Hey guys, Sean Bloomquist, Pine Financial Group. We work together so you succeed. Wherever you found us, hit like, subscribe, leave some comments. We want to interact with you and build this channel to help real estate investors just like you. I've got my good friend Scott Kraft here with me today, and we want to just touch on some common mistakes that we see real estate investors make, especially the rehabbers when they're buying properties to, improve and get back on the market. What is some of the most common stuff you're seeing right now?
Yeah, so there's 5 real big ones that we see all the time that are really actually pretty easy to avoid. Okay, so number 1, I would say, is overestimating your after repair value. Right, when you're looking at a deal and you're thinking, hey, is this going to be a deal worthwhile? Am I going to be able to make enough money and raise that value high enough for this to make sense for me? People get really overly optimistic, don't they?
Yeah, they like to push that market, and the irony is your after repair value estimation is essentially what you're building the whole deal off of. If you're kind of working backwards from the end, you find that after repaired value, see what that neighborhood will support, and then you're pulling back from that and figuring out rehab and buy price and everything like that. But if you've got that wrong from the start, your whole deal is wrong.
That's right. And if you're overly optimistic, it might sound great, but in the end, it's not going to work out well for you.
Yeah, you've got to be pretty on top of it and at least be realistic with it.
Yeah.
Right.
And conversely, the other one that we see a lot is people underestimating their rehab cost. Right?
Yeah, HGTV has been really good at telling us that you can rehab an entire house for $40,000 and nobody ever goes over budget or anything like that, right?
That's right. Yeah, and something else that we see a lot of people do in, along the same lines of that is if they think, oh, well, if I could cut my rehab budget from $50,000 down to $40,000, the deal makes sense all of a sudden. So it can't be that hard to just cut a couple corners here or there and actually get that cost down, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then once they get in there, they never open a wall and find something else that needs to be done or anything like that. So yeah, it can be very challenging. When they are running those numbers, they like to fudge that number the most to make the deal work.
That's right. So we always say when you're running your numbers, use a pen, not a pencil, right? So you don't go back and erase your rehab budget.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So the third one is we need to rely on contractors to do a flip, right? To rehab the house. Unless you're in there swinging hammers and you're an absolute expert, and I would actually argue even if you are, it still makes sense to hire someone else so you can go out and do other deals while they fix that house. But there are a lot of bad contractors out there. So it's really important to hire reputable and competent contractors.
Yeah, price doesn't always, fix everything, right? You want to get multiple bids. You obviously don't want to go with the highest bid, but you also don't want to go with the lowest bid either because you're essentially paying for what you get, right? And I would say this can be a very challenging part to find that reputable contractor, and the best way to find them is getting referrals.
Absolutely.
Talking to people, hey, do you have any contractors that did really good for you on a job? Were they on time? Were they on budget? Did they, were people at the job when you went there? Or were you walking into an empty house when they should have been working? Things like that.
Right. So you might end up paying a little more than potentially the lowest bid you can get. But if you do that for a contractor who does good work, does it on time, does it honestly, it's worth it.
Yeah, that's right. Paying that little bit of extra, it actually is going to lead into the next one we were going to talk about is if they're getting it done quickly and on budget and everything else, that's going to save you money in the long run. Even though you paid more up front, it's going to save you because the next one we're going to talk about is if the project takes too long.
That's right.
You've got holding costs. The market may take a little bit of a fluctuation in that time period. And if you're waiting on a contractor to get things done, you may have missed your opportunity.
That's right. So you're going to be paying more in interest if you've got a loan. You're going to be paying more in insurance. You're going to be paying more in taxes every single day that you hold that house. So you got to think about, well, if a contractor takes an extra month to do it, but they can do it for $2,000 cheaper, well, you're going to spend more money on extra holding costs over the course of that month anyway.
That's exactly right. Yeah, you've got to look at the trade-off. Is it better to pay that, or is it better to pay the interest for the longer hold time or something like that?
Right. So the fifth big mistake that we see a lot of borrowers make is when they're done with the house, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, they want to really push the market, right? They want to get as much money as they possibly can for it. So they really push the market and list it over either what they originally expected or over what the market can handle,
Yep.
be the highest, most expensive house to sell in the neighborhood, but they're certain they're going to get it.
Yeah. Yeah. We have seen that quite a bit. And it can be something where it's not just a little bit over what we were estimated the after repaired value based on an appraisal. They're going and shooting for the moon on it, and thinking, well, we can make price adjustments coming back down. Well, the irony is if you list it way too high, you're not going to get any traction. But if you list it at essentially what market value is, or maybe even a hair under, you generate interest and you may get multiple bids that drive the price higher. So you're not going to make more by listing it higher. You might end up losing more by doing that.
That's right, because every buyer sees those days on market. And if you push that resale value to the highest in the neighborhood or the highest that's been sold, and you're not getting the traction, you're not getting the offers, people see the history on that and they wonder, well, why has this house been listed for so long? What's wrong with it?
Yeah, that's right. It's like a red flag.
Exactly.
It's like a red flag on the property. Is there anything else you want to
talk
about? Or?
I really think those are the big 5 that are easy to avoid.
Yep.
And, just 5 really common ones that you just don't have to make.
That's exactly right. If you guys had any more questions on this or you want to run numbers on a deal or something like that, don't hesitate to reach out to us at pinefinancialgroup.com.